welcome to another Girl of UAE podcast episode. Today we're going to be sharing our female role models.
Anya, Sarah, Ayesha.
Thank you, Anya, for the invitation. I'm really glad that we finally get to record this particular podcast. And I'm glad that the conversation is about role models. So can't wait to get started.
So, personally, one of my female role models and one of my favorite role models is Serena Williams. Have you guys heard of her?
Of course.
Yeah, so growing up, she was one of my biggest inspirations because I used to love tennis as a child. I used to love it. And I didn't really know many athletes that were women, especially in the tennis field, And I think she really brought that confidence in me. She really inspired me as well to play good and to put in a lot of effort. Knowing that she was an African-American woman in a sport that was dominated by men, specifically white men, it really showed me that no matter what your background is or no matter who you are or where you come from, you can really put in that effort and be good at something you really are passionate about. So that's my role model. What about you guys?
My role models have evolved as I've better understood who I am as a person. So at school, when I was bullied a bunch, anybody who said they speak for the rights of women, the rights of students, or anybody who speaks up for the voiceless, if you will. And then it evolved from there to a point now where it is who looks like me and is proud of their identity. So throughout this journey, it has really been a mix of people. A lot of mentors have been very kind in their advice, and they've said, never pin one person as your role model. Figure out what qualities it is that attracts you towards somebody in terms of your professional or your personal pursuits. So when it comes to professionalism, sheer grit, I would also refer to someone from the world of tennis, Sania Mirza and Ons Jabeur. Both these women have played an instrumental role in filling up tennis academies with women, with young girls. And it isn't even about becoming the number one ranked player across the world. It is about pursuing and seeing if you're good at it. And if you don't want to pursue it as a profession, that is fine as well. So these two are, to me, a lot about resembling my identity, my journey, my struggle, etc. In terms of role models overall who have stayed with me, they are grounded in my faith. So it would be the incredible women are Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha and Ayesha radiallahu ta'ala anha. So those two women for sure.
Sarah, what about you?
Just like Ayesha said, I cannot think of one single person that I can think of as an idol. I think when the earliest idol, I suppose, I can think of is J.K. Rowling probably. She her books obviously super influential. I have read them so many times, and obviously that led me to research about her and how she was under that pen name because the name wouldn't suggest any gender, because she was told that people knew that she was a woman, maybe the sales would decline. So she proper came out much later. So that was a really interesting story to me, and how her stories were rejected several times. And now I've moved on to, Rekha, the Indian actress. She's. I love her story. I love some of the interviews I've seen of her. She's really inspirational. Like, initially when she was in the industry, just like a lot of people, she faced assault from some top directors, which she opened up about much later. That's really common, and it was nice that she spoke up about it. And her roles in movies are very different, especially even like Sridevi, beautiful roles. They portrayed the roles that are different from your mainstream Bollywood. Currently, another role model that I'm into is Fabiola Gianotti. She's I don't think her name is that well known, but she's currently I think she's the director of CERN, which is this Center for Nuclear Research. And the reason why I'm all of a sudden into this is because 12th, I'm researching what to do for education, and physics has been an area of interest. And she's this physicist, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a great role model, and I also believe that there have been a lot of mainstream celebrities who are women that have been inspiring the youth as we speak. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber controversy.
Oh my god.
So I'm assuming you guys have. And I feel like there's a lot of misogynistic roots that go beyond what the media conveys, because the whole comparison between two women just based on their dating history of one man, which I believe is so ridiculous, because a man has no comparison to another man. You know, like you never compare two men who dated the same woman. It's always the women. And that's crazy to me. That's actually crazy.
Oh
And
god.
I think Selena Gomez has handled this situation really well, knowing that she struggles with her mental health. She's never put down the other woman. She has never spoken ill about another woman, and she stands for uplifting other women. She suffered from lupus. She's gone through a lot, and she still stands strong, and she doesn't let the media get to her. And I believe she had also faced a lot of backlash regarding body shaming and her body image issues. And growing up in the spotlight can be such a great thing to like withstand all the hate, all the criticism, and just for having a body that's been through lupus and facing a lot of mental health issues, I think she is a great role model for young girls.
I'm glad you bring that up because it connects the whole conversation about women empowerment, women in leadership roles, and then you reduce two women who are, I would say, relatively successful in their respective fields down to, but who got a better deal with one guy, right? And if somehow it doesn't even cross your mind as an individual who is the center of all that focus and attention, somehow that is all that you mean to people anymore. Your music, your career in the entertainment industry, your makeup brands, your modeling contracts, whatever it is that you pursued professionally, all of that just fades into, but what did she mean when she posted that? What was that comment all about? Was she dissing the other person? Was she throwing shade? Was she having a hot minute? Did she have a meltdown over it? And I think it's also about how we're unable to locate or pinpoint role models within our own ecosystem. It doesn't have to be within the family per se, but the inability for people to look around and say, so-and-so I know is a great role model for me. And it doesn't even have to be because she or he is my favorite teacher, my favorite faculty member, a great instructor, a lovely tutor on YouTube, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be that. With the Women's Day situation in the recent past, I love how they put unique individuals on pedestals. Somehow the idea that what is general and what is obvious and what is en masse is not appealing to us. Somehow being the regular person on the street who's having their mental health in check, who's living a relatively comfortable life, they cannot be a role model for you. You have to want very unique, individualistic, separate from everyone else, out of this world kind of role models. Only then do they qualify for that super, super high pedestal, of which they're knocked off very quickly for really stupid reasons.
Completely agree.
That's true. Currently, we're all everyone's just working so hard to just stand out. We just lose the final meanings along the way, what really matters.
We lose our individualism, and I feel like everybody's just trying to stand out from one another, and I feel like there's a lot of competition that's internalized within women itself to do better than another woman. And like society itself, they push a lot on beauty standards upon women, and I feel like there should be a larger focus on education, like getting your career in check. And I think now is a time where a lot of women are being empowered. Like there's a lot of women in STEM, there's a lot of women in politics now, and I feel like the number should always increase. That's my personal opinion. And I love that there is a lot more representation of people of color who are also women currently, and I think that's really, really important for young girls.
Also, speaking of in the entertainment industry in particular. You know Bharti Singh? She's this comedian. She was on Kapil Sharma's show for a really long time. And then she's been moving around. Anyways, I watched an interview of hers recently, and she was talking about how she came from a poor background, and her initial entry into the comedy scene was just making jokes about, like, she everyone around her would joke about her like, to call her fat, right? And she knew she
Say
was
it.
fat. She
Say the
she
word.
agreed with that,
Say the
but
word.
she
They
she
called her
yes.
out and stereotypicalized and caricaturized into a fat woman in comedy.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, she took that, she weaponized it, she used it to her own advantage, and now she is doing amazing. She's made a name for herself. She's beautiful. She's famous. She's doing great. I think we should be able to weaponize all the hate that's thrown at us and use it to our own advantage.
No, I feel like confidence genuinely is a mentality. Like it doesn't have to be a reality. Like even if you're not traditionally or conventionally considered attractive, if you have that mindset in your head that okay, if other people can see it and I can see it within myself, other people are automatically going to see you as more powerful, more attractive. They're going to also have confidence in you. And I think that's why I really hate the idea of people body shaming other women, because it's a conception that's seen in a lot of like magazines, in the media, etc., and it's much more predominant for women than it is with men. And I think that women are just seen as like something pretty to look at in a lot of the forms of like media interviews, etc. They push this idea and agenda of beauty standards on women, and I think that we should really see deeper, like, we should really go in depth on women's emotional health, like their career, and ask questions regarding that instead of having magazines criticizing women's bodies. Because if you are confident within yourself, I don't think anybody else has the right to tell you that you have to look a certain way or you have to act a certain way. So
I have a
yeah.
quick question for you. I have a quick question for you. We're all at different age points in our life. Would you consider yourself to be a role model for the 6, 7, or 8-year-old self?
I would say yes, because growing up, I was a confident child at the start, but then during quarantine and a little bit before that, I think I suffered from a lot of social anxiety. I was a very quiet kid. I wouldn't really talk to anyone, and I was just really isolated. But growing up, I participated in a lot more debates, and now I've led an initiative in my school giving debate training to the younger kids, and I think I've really come out of my shell. I've Thank you. And I'm not afraid to say it. I've asked for mental health help. I've sought help. It's really helped me improve and become the person I am today. And for anyone listening, I would tell you that it's honestly, you don't lose anything from seeking mental health help. You don't lose a single thing. You just gain confidence and you just get better. You just get better. And that's the first step, identifying you need help and getting it. And there's no loss from that. And that's what I would have to say.
How about yourself, Sarah? Would you think you're a role model for your 6, 7, 8-year-old self?
I don't think so. I think the idea when I was, I don't remember the thoughts I had when I was 6 or 7, but I'm pretty sure the idea I had of a 17-year-old me was much more than what I am now. But current me is still not disappointed with myself though.
Oh my
Definition
God.
of the goal changes.
Right. Okay. So for both of you, because it's also something I want to answer for myself, is it the mountain of achievements we're piling that is the reason why we think we have achieved role model status?
So yeah.
Okay. How about yourself, Sarah? Because you said you're not disappointed in who you are today, which I think is relatively healthy compared to completely dismissing everything that you are. I found it weird for me that it's never somebody who you've heard of who sought mental health experts or anybody who sought to get better at whatever they're struggling as the role model definition. Unless you're quote unquote born with it, you're not automatically, naturally, obviously talented at something. You cannot be the role model. I'm sorry, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
And it's weird because a lot of those role models then talk about their mentors, their coaches, or the help they've had external and internal. But even for that, they have to qualify a certain level of greatness before they're able to talk about it. And it's not something that automatically cancels them from that position of power or from that ability to speak something out. Unfortunately, or astaghfirullah, it is sad that a lot of people I've seen primarily through social media, especially on Instagram, that's where I'm most active, people have repeatedly said in the context of parental or primary guardianship, my parents are proud of me, or blah, blah, blah happened, and I'm sure your parents are very proud of you. I've heard that a lot of times. Oh, your parents must be so proud of me. What for? You know, you won this, or you got that, or you succeeded at this, or you survived that. They must be proud of you. And I remember that moment specifically when something clicked in my head and I said, they're proud of me regardless. I was born, I'm alive and breathing. They should be proud for just that much. Everything else is a bonus for them. That's it, right? And so every time someone says they must be so proud of you, it's important to understand where their idea of pride comes from. If it's constant achievements, constantly trying to survive, and then somehow, subhanAllah, managing to thrive in difficult aspects, it's suddenly, okay, so now you deserve the pride of your parents or whoever is in your life who holds that position. Okay, yeah, now I'm proud of my child. Wait, what about all the years so far? Like zero, nothing? We don't deserve love, pride, respect, and attention or focus. So that is something that I've constantly tried to find a balance between. Is someone proud of me, or am I doing this because it will gain me bonus points or brownie points with the people in my life? Or am I just doing this because I genuinely want to do it? And if there's a gain from it, great, that's the bonus. But if the sole reason why I'm doing it is to get validation of who I am as an individual from anyone other than myself, and then once that path is cleared, and then it's okay, am I doing this so I validate myself for me? Then coming down to that level again, and then just coming down to the basic reason of I want to do this. Period, point blank, end of sentence, right? So that has been my journey with regards to, but why am I proud of me and why I should be proud of me, regardless. And I hope that's something that you're able to see as well.
I completely agree, and I feel like regardless of whatever you achieve, like you could be the next Nobel Prize winner or whatsoever, you're still worthy of respect and love, and I completely agree on that. And I truly believe that as long as you're a good person and you have good intentions, you're kind, respectful to everyone, you're worthy of love. You know, like if you are, you don't have to achieve, you don't have to be the next Einstein, you don't have to be the next Malala, you don't have to be someone who is like the best of the best. Just specialize in what you're good at, do what you're good at, work hard, achieve whatever you want to achieve, but be a good person. And I think that's really, really important, because I feel like we're in a generation now where there's like social media and there's a lot of miscommunication. Like people don't really communicate as they should. Ghosting is very easy, and I think that really is extremely, extremely annoying. But yeah, communication, being a good person, having good values, treating people with respect, and I feel like that is what people should focus more on, and alongside achieve greatness, of course.
For sure.
But also when we're undertaking something, planning to do something new, there's always this: do I want to do this because I want more attention from my parents, more want them to have more pride in me, like you mentioned, or do I want this for myself? And the worry is, I'll do it, I'll start it, and then halfway through, I don't want to realize that I'm doing this for their pride in me, not for myself. Because once I realize that, then I'm going to leave it, I'm going to drop it, and then there's going to be one more thing I've left undone.
Fair enough. Has anyone here been called the next fill in the blank for any reason? I'm not saying it always has to be a place of pride. The pride of place, the place of pride. Anyway, has anyone been called the next fill in the blank, either because they were a perfectly well-behaved child or they were an absolute nutter, quote-unquote brat? Have any of you been given those titles?
I've personally not been called that, but I don't know about Sarah. What about you, Sarah?
I mean, like a next fill in the blank with a person's name, or
Yeah.
oh yeah.
What
There
was
is these
that? You don't mind
designated
sharing?
names given to me and given to my sister.
But let's focus on
given
you.
an
What?
aunt's name, and it's we're different people. You can't do that. Just
Sorry,
because
could you repeat that?
given the next aunt's name.
So within family.
Yeah, within family.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure if it was a
And
taunt
it's also
or an
it feels
appreciation.
no, it's an appreciation. But
Okay.
it feels weird when like my mother. Why not the next my mother? Because she's just as great, right? Um, it's fine. I mean, I'll take it. It's a compliment. I'll take it.
Awesome. Anya, nothing.
No.
They've told you you're going to be the first Anya Thomas, the first of her name.
I
That's
guess
brilliant.
so.
That's
Yes.
brilliant. That's good.
What
It's
about
really
you?
good. No, I was never a perfectly well-behaved child in school, so I never got. Let's just say, for the sake of the conversation, I was never called the next Einstein or the next Jason Pollock or anything of the sort. If anything, it's just, oh my God, Ayesha. I can't wait to see what you become. I can't wait to see what comes of you. I'll take it. I'll take it as a biggest
Fun fact:
compliment.
my sister is an Aisha.
Okay, this needs to be said. This needs to be said. There is a Sarah. It's a Sarah thing. There's an Anya thing, and then there's an Aisha thing. So we're all collected.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's so ironic.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name literally means unique, and I know like half the Indian population has my name, which is ironic. But yeah.
Ironic, but it's a thing, right? I understand when people. I mean, I try to wrap my mind around, but that's such a Virgo thing. That's such a Pisces thing. That's such a no. That is such a Sarah thing to do. That is such an Aisha thing to do. That's such an Anya thing to do. Like, I get those references so much quicker. I'm like, yeah, no, that's such a her thing to do, for sure. Okay, so Sarah mentioned something. I want to pick on that. Sarah, you obviously have a lot of respect and love for your mom, and that's who you would want to be. And I'm sure a lot of us may have said it at some point in time. If I can be even half the woman she is, if I can even have half the courage, resilience, insert quality or adjective, I'm going to be really happy. Has it ever been contradictory to what you have wanted to be or what you have seen for yourself as an individual?
Yes, of course. I cannot get into details for obvious reasons, but
Don't.
but there is. She's great. Okay, the whatever she's learned throughout her struggles has been. I want to emulate that. I want to be that way without going through all those struggles, if possible, and and without doing the mistakes she continues to make.
For sure. How about yourself, Anya?
A super vague answer.
No. I think we all understood what you were referring to.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, I love my mom, and she works really hard. I've seen her working until late night, and I don't know how she manages her time. Like she works a lot, and I'm inspired by that. Like, I believe that she is a hard worker, and she puts in a lot of effort for us, her family, and of course, like if one day if I do have a family of my own, like I would love to be a hard worker and earn a living for them, and put in a lot of my effort for them. However, I don't want a traditionally like hard job. Like, I don't want a desk job. I want something that's interesting, that has variety. So that's what I would say I would like different. And I'm sure, like, growing up, like, our parents might have had a lot of stigma around like mental health or certain things. Like, there's just that traditional mindset that they grew up with, and I, of course, like, I don't blame them. Like, my parents are very progressive. I'm grateful to have that, but in the future, obviously, I would like a more progressive mindset and to learn from people all around me. But yeah, that's what I would change.
I think most of us here have been our mom's therapist at some point of time. And
Where is
every
our
day,
compensation?
every little tidbit of information has you like a side eye. An offensive side eye.
I've drawn less comparison with my mom. I've drawn more comparison with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And people say that likeness skips a generation, etc. in a lot of ways, I think both my parents have the biggest, thickest, rosy colored glasses on. They will always assume the best of everyone, and they refuse to learn a lesson. They'll be burnt and hurt, but they will always believe that the reward is with Allah. And it absolutely has to be the last straw for either of them to draw a very strong boundary and say, I'm no longer choosing to interact with this person or to be in that space. And it's for them, it's a breakup of sorts, a process that takes a lot of them physically, psychologically, I'm sure. But for them, it is, okay, I'm going to mourn this relationship for a very long period of time. And in that aspect, they do not want me to be like them. And alhamdulillah, I don't think I am like my parents or my grandparents, because all of them believe in staying together, keeping things going, letting go of the big and small things. And I'm sure that comes from a place of resilience I am yet to understand. SubhanAllah. I cannot fathom how you can bring all of that energy for just this. So in that way, I think to a great extent, they do not want me to be like them. What they encourage for sure is to remain optimistic and hopeful and have hope in humanity, etc. for sure. But yeah, the comparisons have come from how I do certain things, how my mind works in certain ways, and it has nothing to do with their upbringing as such. It's just genetically encoded, or whatever it is that my grandmother had done. So it's constantly like, oh my God, that's exactly what she would say. That's exactly what she would do. And it's good to hear that, because they're all, hopefully in my eyes at least, they're good things to do. The other thing, I think, Anya, you mentioned it, that you would want to be in a space which is more progressive. I want to understand this. Does progressive mean more accepting? Or like, how do you define the word progressive? Because I get stumped every time someone says, oh, we're very progressive, we're very liberal, we're very moderate. And I'm like, who asked you to be in the extreme? But
Right.
I'm just trying to understand, what does progressive mean for you?
So obviously not fitting just the traditional, like for example, there's a lot of stigma back home, not within my family, but in India, I'm sure there's a lot of stigma of mental health. Like if you seek mental health help, you're crazy or you have something wrong with you. But I truly believe that everybody can have access to mental health, like regardless. Because, for example, if you break your hand, you would go to the doctor, right? Even if somebody is in a coma, you don't compare your pain with them. You don't compare your physical pain, right? Like
God help me.
everybody has different degrees of pain when it comes to physical pain, and I feel like it applies exactly to emotional pain. And I think like growing up, I was very scared to ask for mental health help, and I'm so glad that I did. And I feel like a lot of people should be in an environment where they feel safe to do so, and where they feel like it's an option, not something that they'll be looked upon for doing. But that's what I meant by progressive.
How about yourself, Sarah? Where do you see yourself on that spectrum of traditional to
Progressive.
off the chains?
No, but what you said about over progressive liberal, I think in an effort to be progressive, you reach an extreme. We need to like draw a line on the progressive, right? There is
Yeah,
line. I'm not sure I can define it yet, but we'll see.
fair enough.
I think for me, it's a combination of how accepting someone can be from who I am as a person, vis-a-vis how they have a worldview, in addition to how willing they are to listen to what I've got to say. They don't even have to accept it as God's opinion, Auzubillah, of course, but the willingness to listen to what Aisha's got to say and then accept that as my choice, as far as I'm concerned, that's a progressive person for me. In their own sphere, in their own life, they may be willing to operate differently. They have different opinions, different choices to be made. Great, good for them. What they aren't doing is encroaching upon my right to breathe, to be who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if, and because it's a stereotypical conversation, generally, we don't discuss moderate, liberal, conservative, traditional, unless we are talking about politics, because you can never have a balance, right? Either you're conservative, traditional, linked to your roots and not going to not budge from your position, or you're liberal to a point where, like Sarah said, but can you tell me where this ends? Or are we just going to go until we fall off the edge of the earth, as a lot of people would say from hundreds of years ago? We talk about it either if it's politics, or I've most often heard it in context of, yeah, but they're very liberal in their thinking. I don't think they'll be a good match for your son, daughter, niece, granddaughter, whatever it is. So in that marriage context, I want to see how people talk about conservative and liberal in the office. And I'll give you an example. One place where I worked, they said that they were very open and they encouraged conversation. So a particular manager would always discuss politics. Always. Every day. 5 days of the week, half an hour minimum. And it was just annoying at one point. Like, I have so much I could ask you about work, but I have to sit and listen to this. And then when I did give my opinion, I was immediately shut down. And I thought, okay, maybe it's work pressure. And then another time, and I felt really strongly about it. So I said maybe 1% of what I really wanted to say. And then the gaslighting happened. Like, oh, are you sure? Really? And what facts do you have to back it up? Like, I've been listening to you every day of the past 3 months. I've not heard one fact. I've only heard opinions. What is wrong with you? And I learned my lesson. I would never engage in a conversation. And I learned from another colleague who always said, I'm very apolitical. I hate that situation. I don't want to talk about politics. So she never had to be involved in that conversation. I thought, okay, I'm taking a page out of her book and I'm staying apolitical as far as this space is concerned. I do not care what opinions you hold. So I understood there was zero acceptance. There was nothing progressive. It was very stuck, very rigid, and very much outdated as far as I was concerned. So yeah, I really am interested to learn more about how liberal. One other thing, I went for a job interview because we do that to keep ourselves on our toes. Like, can we still talk to people when it's not startups? And this is during the, how recent was it? I think about 6 months ago, maybe, I don't remember, but somebody said, so-and-so wants to work with you. It's got to do with doing tasks A, B, C, and D. So I'm calling you job interview to make it easy. I get there and they said, yeah, but I think you'll have to work from office. Like, we'd want you to be here when you're doing all of these tasks. And I said, okay, sure. And I realized that the money they were paying me would not even cover the petrol expenses. So anyways, it was not a good thing. But I thought, okay, maybe just because it's good conversation, the place is nice, they will be accepting. They told me very clearly, you cannot eat non-veg in the office. I'm sorry? No, we don't. And I'm like, do you have other Muslim employees? Yes. I'm very proud of it, but don't eat non-veg in the office. Okay, can you tell me where's the prayer room? Oh, we don't know. How long have you been in this office building? 5 years. And you don't know where the prayer room is? No. And you've never had to find it? No. And the person thought I was joking. So when I was on my way out, very firmly, just already typing the email in my mind, this is exactly what I'm going to put down in the email and reply to the person who recommended me to them. They said, you know what? If you find out where the prayer room is, let us know. It would be nice.
Oh,
and I thought, just imagine someone's nailing a coffin and then they do that. And I'm like, so that's what they meant, final nail in the coffin. And I just did not have a response. I couldn't even say, yeah, sure. It was more along the lines of, cool. Okay. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave and just leave.
Yeah.
And this is in the 2020s. This is not in the whatever age, whatever times people think as very rigid and uncompromising. But the idea that they had employees who belonged to a certain faith and they said, don't eat this food. And I thought, okay, fine, your place of work, you have this policy, I'm willing to abide by it. But they didn't even know where the prayer room was. They did not care for it. And they said, oh, if you want to, there's that room. So it was like a really tiny cubicle. Like, don't do this. Like, don't have your elbows out. If you do that, you're sitting too close to the wall.
It's not even that hard to have a prayer room.
Sorry?
It's not that hard to have a prayer room.
It's not. And
it's the bare minimum. And okay, speaking
check.
from the point of view of a student, if I were not allowed to get non-veg to school, I would drop out.
No, I feel like they should have at least, like, okay, I mean, I'm not justifying what they're doing, like, it's not justified at all, but you can't just say you can't bring non-veg without any explanation whatsoever. And if you have Muslim employees as well, I think you need to understand that they do have a certain faith. Like, if they're working in your company, it's your job to provide them with a prayer room because they will be working those hours in your company. Like they will have to pray. Like you can't just expect them to just go off on their own and figure that out. That's really disrespectful.
They were very proud of the fact of the building in which they were running their organization. Like, oh my God, look at us, look at us, look at us. I mean, they didn't say that, of course. Their words and their behavior did. Right. Look at this, so shiny and so bright and so high up in the sky. And I'm like, this is pie in the sky. What are you talking about? One, non-veg is not just associated with faith, but it's just that because I've been in another organization's pantry area, they had 2 separate microwave ovens. Just so if the employees were not comfortable with mixing different types of food, they could use one for one type and one for the other. And that was fine. Nobody said, oh my God, that's 1 microwave oven too much. They're like, no, it's fine. We need that. And I've seen that in, I think, at least 2 organizations I saw that they had this huge place where everybody would sit together for lunch or for meals. 2 microwaves. Use this for heating this type of food. Use this for heating this type of food. And everybody lived happily ever after, from what I gathered. But this was shocking. And the conversation I had with the person who recommended me was, do you not know this person? Like, have you not met them? No, I've known them for so many years. Did you know these are the opinions they hold? No. Okay, then. We all learn something new every day. So when it comes to role models, let's say if that person said to me, vice versa, they said, we understand and appreciate that you're different or you have certain different requirements as an individual in terms of faith, in terms of your diet, whatever. We acknowledge that, and this is what we're willing to do, right? If an HR manager says to me, Ayesha, we understand 50% of the world's population undergoes something called a menstrual cycle, and you're going to be sick or have really painful period, or you're going to be tired for far more seriously than you might be in other circumstances. Our office has a policy of these many days off, and you can work from home, blah, blah, blah. To me, I don't care about anyone else beyond that. For me, that person and that organization is a role model in terms of how you treat your people. Everybody else can take a seat in terms of, oh, we're all for women empowerment. Do you give them work from home opportunity? Oh, no. We want the office culture, which is super toxic, but we want to maintain it anyways. To me, that is annoying. Like, no. We stumble at the first hurdle. Yeah, clearly got a lot to say about it. But yeah, sure. What has been your experience with in terms of microaggressions or behavior that did not support what they were saying otherwise? Like their actions didn't meet their words.
I feel like I pride myself in my humor. I don't know if I'm funny or not, but I would personally love to believe that I'm funny.
Anya, you're hilarious. You're hilarious.
Thank you, Sarah.
There we go. Stamp of approval. Carry on.
But yeah, so I just want to say, like, sometimes I would hang out with certain people and they'd be like, oh, women aren't funny, so you're not funny. And they would say it as a joke, but sometimes it would get really on my nerves, like, especially when the wrong person is saying it. Like, it's not good to say it generally. Like, generally, I'm not agreeing it should be said. But if someone you don't even know, you're not even close with, and they also say it, that's just a next level irritation for me. So, yeah, that's one of the microaggressions I've faced.
Caricaturization of women are bad drivers, women are bad at giving instructions, women are bad at humor, women are bad at insert fill in the blank, women aren't great chefs, blah, blah, blah. It's funny, though, when I think if we poll people and ask them how many of us love and appreciate humor just for humor and how many of us use it as a coping mechanism, it's like, this is awkward for me. I'm going to laugh and make light of the situation and then talk about this with my therapist.
No,
this is not funny, Ayesha. I know, but I didn't know what else to do. I really needed to get out of that space and get out of that situation. Sada, are you here with us?
She had to go for class.
This was so interesting. Oh, she left? Okay. Anya, how would you like to close our session for today? I think we've broken the ice.
Yeah, so obviously Miss Ayesha is new to our team, and we'll be hearing more from her in the coming episodes as well. So thank you so much for joining our team. It was a really great discussion, and obviously Sarah left, but it was a wonderful conversation with Sarah as well. So this would conclude our episode today, and we hope you guys have learned something or taken away from something from this conversation. And we'd love to see you guys listening to our other upcoming podcasts. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.